I mean, one could argue this kind of started back in 2017 when Andre Ward was the unified light heavyweight champion, and he was chasing Adonis Stevenson because even in 2017, Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol were nipping at the heels of both Adonis Stevenson and Andre Ward.
Hey, hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Hey, what's up with it, family? It's your boy, Hot Boxing Minute, your favorite pharmaceutical engineer turned boxing analyst, back at you with the uncut realness as only I can deliver it to you. And before I say anything, please hit that like button, hit follow if you're not already doing so. And let's get down to this wonderful business of boxing. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to me. Congratulations to hardcore boxing fans worldwide, because we are getting this weekend arguably the best fight or the most sought after fight for hardcore purists of the entire year. We're getting Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol going heads up. Finally, for the undisputed championship at 175 pounds, the light heavyweight division. I think the last time we had an undisputed light heavyweight world champion, I could be wrong on this, I think it might have been against Michael Spinks when he fought Dwight Muhammad Qawi. I'm not even sure there was a moment where Roy Jones Jr. was the undisputed light heavyweight champion. I could be wrong on that, but just one time, give it up for the sport of boxing. It finally got it right this time. And I guess all credit goes to Turki Al Sheikh, because he's the one that put up the money. This is going down this weekend, Saturday, October 12th, out there in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Riyadh season continues to roll out with the magnificence. We got that fight going on this weekend between Artur Beterbiev, or however you pronounce it, and Dmitry Bivol. And this has been years in the making. I mean, one could argue this kind of started back in 2017 when Andre Ward was the unified light heavyweight champion, and he was chasing Adonis Stevenson because even in 2017, Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol were nipping at the heels of both Adonis Stevenson and Andre Ward. Yes, this goes back that far. So for those of you that don't remember the timeline and how it all kind of broke down, Andre Ward was the unified light heavyweight champion. Then you had Adonis Stevenson in Canada who had the WBC. Other than that, Andre Ward had all of the other belts. And I guess for most intents and purposes, it kind of looked like Adonis Stevenson was ducking Andre Ward. And I don't know if ducking is the right term. Andre Ward did not want to fight outside of Oakland, or did not want to fight outside of the Bay Area. He was selling out shows in the Bay Area. And of course, Adonis Stevenson was a big ticket seller in Canada. Andre Ward was not eager to go out to Canada, and Adonis Stevenson was not eager to fight out there in Northern California because neither of them wanted to give up the home crowd advantage. And yeah, that was not the business. It kind of seemed like, one of those things where two fighters didn't want to unify the division, and that's boxing, which is just kind of how it always has been.
To this day. To this day. To this day.
But yeah, we're not in that era anymore. Andre Ward retired early in 2017, and thus all of his belts outside of the WBC belt ended up getting distributed, kind of like Thanos and all the jewels inside the Infinity Gauntlet. Adonis Stevenson ended up getting his career ended by Alexander Volstik. He lost the WBC to Volstik. Shortly after those belts all got distributed to the different sanctioning bodies, in 2017, that same year, if I'm not mistaken, Dmitry Bivol won the belt, and then later on that year, so did Artur Beterbiev become champions for the first time, both of them that same year, shortly after Andre Ward retired. Now, I'm not trying to say Andre Ward didn't want to fight Artur Beterbiev or Dmitry Bivol, but they were highly ranked at the time Andre Ward retired. Hey, I'm just telling you exactly what it was. I think it would have been a great fight, but nonetheless, we never got those fights between Andre Ward and either Dmitry Beterbiev or Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, or Adonis Stevenson. We just never got those fights. Boo, there was millions left on the table. Either way, son of God, Andre Ward, probably the last great, he was the last great gold medalist for United States. We haven't had an Olympic gold medalist since Andre Ward, and I want to say that was like in 2004. Either way, this whole thing with Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev has been kind of brewing for years. They were on the Russian amateur national team. They both have deep amateur pedigrees. My gym mate, my former gym mate, he was a professional boxer. He retired after his first loss, which I believe was a little bit premature. My boy, I want to say his name. I don't want to mispronounce his name. His name was Jaba Kotishvili. My boy Jaba Kotishvili, as an amateur, was also on the same team with them. Jaba used to train at my gym in San Diego at the arena, and whenever I would ask him, how do you think the fight plays out between Dmitry Beterbiev and Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, he would always say confidently that he believes that Artur Beterbiev would knock out Dmitry Bivol, and he would never flinch in this. And I think maybe he might have seen some stuff in some closed-door sparring sessions between them two that led him to believe that. I'm just saying, every time I would talk to Jabba about it, because, he speaks broken English. I only speak English. And I'd be like, Jabba, who's going to win? He would always say Artur Beterbiev. And, this rivalry between them has been kind of festering. There really has not been anybody close to them two in their respective divisions. Of course, Joe Smith Jr. had the WBO strap, and then Dmitry Bivol ended up winning that one off Joe Smith Jr. So if I'm not mistaken, let's see where they are right now. Joe Smith Jr., Artur Beterbiev currently has the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO. The WBA, that was the one that Joe Smith Jr. had. The WBO was the one that Joe Smith Jr. had. The WBA is the one that Dmitry Bivol has kind of held on to since 2017, while Artur Beterbiev has been slowly collecting them like stones on the Infinity Gauntlet. In 2017, mind you, Sergey Kovalev was also a world champion at the time. He ended up losing a strap to Andre Ward, getting it back immediately after Andre Ward's retirement, and then he lost it to Canelo Alvarez. But either way, this rivalry between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev has been kind of marinating for years. This fight should have happened probably 2 or 3 years ago, but at least we're getting it this weekend. So hey, a great rivalry between two undefeated elite level fighters.
Where's the beef? Where's the beef? Hey, where's the beef?
Speaking of beef, Dmitry Bivol's wife has been all over social media. For those of you who have been paying attention to the feeds, Dmitry Bivol's wife has been kind of very vocal about the allegations that Dmitry Bivol was abusing her. She has even been posting comments on Artur Beterbiev's comment sections on his videos and everything leading up to this fight during the build-up, indicating that her and the kids are supporting Artur Beterbiev. Maybe that'll play a factor. I'm not really sure. Either way, let's talk about their last performances, because we got to consider that. Regardless, they're both undefeated. Artur Beterbiev is 20-0 with 20 knockouts. He is currently the only champion in boxing with a 100% knockout to win ratio. Dmitry Bivol is not quite as heavy-handed as Artur Beterbiev. He is 23-0. I believe he has something like 12 knockouts. Not to take away from Dmitry Bivol's skill set, because Dmitry Bivol does win by decision, but it's by like landslide decisions. These aren't close decision fights. Dmitry Bivol is a very smooth operator in the ring. Outside of maybe Shakur Stevenson, I don't know if anybody is as defensively elite as Dmitry Bivol in his entire career. I think the only time we've seen Dmitry Bivol get cleanly hit was that one time in the closing seconds of, I think it was round 7 or round 8, against Joe Smith Jr. against Union Joe of Long Island. And ever since then, we've never really seen Dmitry Bivol get touched. Canelo Alvarez definitely didn't land much of a punch against him. Didn't see much of any problem when he was facing, Lyndon Arthur or Craig Richards. Not even Zurdo Ramirez really laid much of a glove on Dmitry Bivol. He's got that pendulum style. Basically, he knows how to stay just outside of the range. He goes back and forth, back and forth. He's also good with his lateral movement, but definitely his thing is going back and forth and just kind of, with that really strong amateur influence. And that does kind of affect how it is he sits down in his punches. That's why he doesn't really knock people out, but he does have enough power to keep opponents honest. And then there's Artur Beterbiev, who is not nearly as fleet of foot as Dmitry Bivol. And some would even argue that Artur Beterbiev is slow-footed. I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I would go so far as to say Artur Beterbiev is more selective about his footwork. You might remember when he won the WBC belt a few years back against Oleksandr Volstik. Oleksandr Volstik himself had a deep amateur pedigree, came from that Soviet school of boxing, had great footwork. Oleksandr Volstik just recently made a comeback in his career after retiring after that loss to Beterbiev, and went the full distance with David Benavidez and made David Benavidez look rather pedantic. Although David Benavidez won by decision, David Benavidez's monster title, his public image as being the Mexican monster or Ecuadorian monster or whatever kind of monster you want to label him as, definitely took a hit. Oleksandr Volstik proved he's still one of the top talents in the 175-pound division. But overall, when it comes to the talent in that 175-pound division, there is Artur Beterbiev, there is Dmitry Bivol at 1A and 1B, and the gulf of talent between everyone else behind them is pretty wide. Like, if you think about the names in that division, I mean, David Benavidez, Joshua Buatsi, Anthony Yard, Callum Smith, Oleksandr Volstik, David Morrell, Willie Hutchinson, there really is nobody in the ballpark of Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. So this is an awesome fight. I think the main factors are going to be both of their mindsets. Well, actually, even on boxing skills, I think obviously one could easily surmise that Dmitry Bivol is the more skilled boxer overall. He doesn't rely on his power because he doesn't have the kind of power that Artur Beterbiev has. But to deny Beterbiev's boxing skills would be kind of not the smooth way to go as far as being an analytical boxing mind. I think to a casual, they might view Beterbiev as more of like a mauler type, even though he does maul his opponents and he does beat them ridiculous. There is a science behind it. He is intelligent behind his jab. He knows how to put himself in a position to land heavy shots without taking heavy shots in return. He's good at getting at just the right angle. He is excellent at cutting off the ring. Now, he isn't as defensively responsible as, say, Dmitry Bivol is, but that's because Beterbiev has the power to not be so concerned because he is more concerned about landing his shots. His mindset is, I'm willing to take a punch because I know that whatever I land is going to affect you more than it will me. And he takes that kind of movement and that approach to fighting. For those of you who have not seen Artur Beterbiev's training footage, he does everything to strengthen those parts of the body that make him very dangerous. He does the neck workouts. He does the push-ups on his knuckles. He does the heavy mallets on the tire thing punching. He strengthens his wrists to make sure that he has strong structures in his hands. And that man is built like a Dagestani monster. Whereas Dmitry Bivol is definitely more of a smooth type of operator. This fight, regardless of both of their skill sets, which they're both elite at, you definitely got to give the movement and the footwork the advantage to Bivol, but that's not to take away from Beterbiev's understanding of balance and foot positioning. So Dmitry Bivol might be faster on his feet, but that doesn't mean he has just outlandishly better footwork than Beterbiev. Beterbiev is definitely slower, but that doesn't mean he doesn't know how to cut off the ring, and that's going to be an issue for Bivol. Will Bivol be able to move laterally and be able to nullify Artur Beterbiev's ability to cut the ring off? Because you can bet your bottom dollar that Artur Beterbiev is going to be investing heavily in the body work to slow Dmitry Bivol down. So I do see this kind of working out in one of two ways. Let me go get the odds on this fight. So the odds on the Beterbiev versus Bivol fight, I believe Dmitry Bivol might be the slight betting favorite, although don't quote me on that. Let's see what the odds are. All right, I'm pulling it up right now. What are the betting odds? So, pardon me. So, on the win-loss, you've got Dmitry Bivol, who is actually, they're relatively 50-50 almost. I think you've got Dmitry Bivol is the slight betting favorite. He's the minus 140 favorite against Artur Beterbiev, who was plus 100. So at Artur Beterbiev, you got to bet 100 to get 100. Dmitry Bivol, you bet 100, you'll win 140. The draw, the odds on that are 15-1. And You know, that doesn't leave much room. Let me see. That's on Box Live. Let me see if I can get to the. There you go. Let's go to DraftKings. So money line, pretty much Dmitry Bivol negative 145, Artur Beterbiev plus 120. Let's see. What's the knockout? Oh, goodness. This thing has crazy stats and odds. Okay, Artur Beterbiev by stoppage plus 185, which kind of, that's not too beneficial to gamblers, I think. It might be worth sprinkling a little change. You know what I mean? The draw is plus 1,600. I don't see that happening. Dmitry Bivol by knockout plus 550. Man, I don't see that happening at all. Artur Beterbiev by decision plus 700. Who knows? Either way, I'm not going to give gambling advice because I think this is a relatively 50-50 fight. So bet accordingly. There might be a little bit of money, I think, betting on Artur Beterbiev for the straight-up win, because I think right now it's slightly in favor of Bivol, and I believe that has a lot to do with his recent performance, especially his win against Canelo, because that's really what kind of pushed Bivol into the public's consciousness. Because prior to that, a lot of people kind of dismissed Bivol as being boring. And here's the thing about Dmitry Bivol. He is very defensively sound. I think probably second to Shakur Stevenson as far as hit and not get hit ratio. I don't know what the exact numbers are. Dmitry Bivol has no problem stinking out a fight in order to win it. So that's something you're going to have to really, really key in on, or Artur Beterbiev is going to have to key in on. Dmitry Bivol has no problem staying on that back foot, has no problem fighting behind that jab responsibly, and will have no problem sticking it up for 12 rounds in order to win that undisputed championship fight. So I think this fight is going to come down to who has the strongest mindset going in. They're both stone cold, laser focused assassins when they're in that ring. But Dmitry Bivol is going through that stuff with his wife. The extracurricular stuff could play a factor. Artur Beterbiev is 40 years old. He's coming off a meniscus injury that's in the knee, folks. And this fight should have gone down on June 1st. But here we are, October 12th. So it'll come down to the mindset. Can Artur Beterbiev apply the relentless pressure? Can Dmitry Bivol withstand that pressure and make it a boxing chess match for all 12 rounds? Here's how I think it's going to play out. I think the way it plays out is Dmitry Bivol kind of wins those rounds a little bit early, but I believe Artur Beterbiev will eventually catch up to Dmitry Bivol using body work and cutting the ring off. I don't believe that Dmitry Bivol will be able to run around like that throughout the entirety of the fight. I believe there will be moments early where Dmitry Bivol will try to take breaks and will rest against the ropes, and that's where Artur Beterbiev will take advantage. I believe around 6 or the 7th round, round 6 or round 7, you'll start to see Beterbiev slowly crank up the pressure. And then I think it kind of plays out the same way the Volstick fight did. You can go back and check the highlights, or actually the full fight might even be on YouTube. Oleksandr Volstick was just like Dmitry Bivol. Fought well behind the jab. Excellent foot movement. Regardless, he got broken down too. I believe Artur Beterbiev wins this fight by stoppage by the 9th or the 10th round. Don't put it past Dmitry Bivol to win by decision, to play it safe and do his thing, but I'm going to go with Artur Beterbiev by 9th or 10th round stoppage in this fight. Boxing community, how do you think this fight plays out between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol? Let me know in the comments section. Let's chop it up. Hit that like button if you haven't already done so. Hit follow if you're not already doing so. You already know what time it is, y'all. This is Hot Boxing Minute. Until I catch you on the next broadcast, peace.